Welcome to the Infidelity Doctor channel. My name is Dr. Talal Al-Salim, and this is the Ask Dr. Talal segment, your place to ask me anything you want to know about affair recovery and affair prevention. Please remember, this segment is not a substitute for the counseling that you're supposed to be getting. This is merely a place for you to get some basic questions answered and a place for you to learn about my insights when it comes to affair recovery and affair prevention. So before we get to the question of the week, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the most recent updates. So the question of the week is as follows. What if the unfaithful doesn't admit to the label of infidelity, even in the face of hard evidence? It's a great question. So being able to agree on what to call the problem when people come to therapy is one of the most crucial steps for setting the tone for the therapy process. And it's actually what's going to guide the interventions that the therapist is going to provide, which influence the treatment outcomes. So, oftentimes you have the betrayed and the unfaithful. You ask the betrayed why you're here, and the betrayed says, well, I'm here because my partner cheated on me. You ask the unfaithful why you're here. They say, well, I'm here because I did something stupid or I did something inappropriate. Well, it is important to figure out which one is it. Is it a minor issue, or is it a significant issue like infidelity? Because if it is infidelity and you called it something else, then you might have just minimized the significance of a major problem. If it's not infidelity and you called it infidelity, then you just exaggerated a smaller problem. So it is crucial for the therapeutic alliance between the therapist and the unfaithful and the betrayed to get to the bottom of what is the right label that we're going to choose to describe the problem that you're bringing to the therapy setting. And again, it's a tightrope balance because you don't want to alienate either party, but also you have a responsibility as a therapist to make sure that you are diagnosing the problem accurately and providing the right label. I think a lot of times it has to do with the fact that infidelity is a really difficult construct to define, especially when it comes to emotional infidelity. But I would argue sometimes people try to make justifications even for sexual infidelity and try to paint it as something different. So I'll give you the same definition I have shared in my previous videos in terms of how to define infidelity to help you and your partner as well as the therapist to be on the same page and providing the right label. So I do believe that relationships should operate like business partnerships, meaning that there should be a relationship contract that tells us how many people we have in this contract, in this relationship. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 20? The relationship contract should also explain what are the emotional and sexual needs that are supposed to be fulfilled by the partners in this relationship, and to what extent the fulfillment of those needs is exclusive to only the partners that we have in this relationship contract. So the moment I outsource the fulfillment of those needs, emotional or sexual, to somebody else outside of the relationship, who's not in the relationship contract, I am breaching my contract. And the breach of contract in itself becomes the threshold for defining infidelity. So regardless of how big or small that breach of contract is, it is what determines whether or not people honor the parameters of expected emotional and sexual exclusivity. What I like about this definition I created, that is flexible enough to accommodate different types of relationship and what they constitute as appropriate or inappropriate in their relationship contract versus this rigid ideology that doesn't work for everyone. But also, if you're the therapist and you're calling it infidelity, you're not doing so because this is your value system or moral bias that's making you put this label on the presenting problem. You're really just going based on the couple's relationship contract and whether or not breach was made. So to bring this back to the original question is, what do you do if the unfaithful is not willing to admit to the label of infidelity, even though there is hard evidence and even though it meets the threshold? To me, refusing to accept to the label of infidelity is an indication of the unfaithful lack of readiness to actually process what happened, why it happened, and give the information needed to help both partners choose the appropriate road of recovery. So therapy cannot continue and healing cannot begin without agreeing on the label of infidelity. And if they're refusing to agree to it, then that gives you an indication of where they stand in terms of wanting to make changes. Because if they can't even agree that what they did is infidelity, they're probably not going to have what it takes to make the necessary changes to ensure preventing relapse. So hopefully that answer did address that question. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below about the answer that you heard, as well as suggestions for other questions that you'd like to see me answer in future videos. Until then, be well, be safe, and embrace the possibility for a brighter future. Take care.